Erev Tov, everyone. Chodesh Tov. Chanukah Sameach. I once had the ability to visit in the United States, in Washington, the National Gallery of Art, where there are hundreds of treasures, the products of talented human beings over the centuries. They have one room that's dedicated to Impressionist painting. And that room, unlike other rooms, had a rope about 30 to 40 inches before the painting itself. In other words, you couldn't walk up to the painting. So in my naivete, I thought that's because they don't want people touching the painting. But the guard in the room told me that's not the reason. He said, if you walk up to an Impressionist painting, all you see are globs of paint, little dots. You can't see the painting unless you step back 2-3 feet. And then all of a sudden, all those little globs blend into the painting that the artist wanted you to see. I think that's a good metaphor for life. Most of the time, we only see little globs. We don't see things in perspective. I think one of the great things about the holiday of Chanukah is that it provides us perspective. Otherwise, why would he celebrate the battle 2,500 years ago in a war which we eventually did not win? The Rambam says for a century we had independence. Would be like the South celebrating victory at Chancellorsville or at Fredericksburg. But you lost the war. So Chanukah puts us in perspective that we did not lose the war. Not only because of the Nes of the Pach HaShemen, but because of the war itself. We know in our time how difficult it is to stand up against a majority culture and a completely false narrative, and not somehow give in to it. So the Western world today raises a generation where a boy is a girl and a girl is a boy, where the world is divided only into oppressors and the oppressed, and you have a choice to join the oppressed. I'm 1/64th Native American. And it's a world that does not allow for another opinion. One of the great accomplishments of Western universities was that it had diverse opinions. Not so today. Not only that, if you look in the Gemara, every page there are different opinions. Why didn't they make up their mind? Chayer, potter, osur, mutter, right, wrong. Because the Torah is built upon humanity. And humanity has different opinions. Chazal say, Kishem shein partzufeim domim zelozeh, kachein deosei anshovo zelozeh. You know, two people who look alike, who have the same DNA, have the same fingerprints. Why did the Lord create us that way? Why does He allow for different opinions? Because this is the basis of humanity. And that's why we are built upon our three founders and our four mothers, who are all different people. Yaakov is not Yitzchak, and Yitzchak is not Avraham. And Leah and Rachel are certainly different. So that takes perspective. To be able to see that there are various globs of paint, and out of it to make a picture. In the parshas that we read now of Yosef and his brothers, that's the point that the Torah is making to us. The brothers are all different. And yet they could not tolerate the difference of one of them. Vayakir Yosef es Echov. Yosef recognized that. He knew who Shimon and Levi were, and he knew who Reuven was, and who Yehuda was, and he knew who he was. V'heim lo hikiruhu. But they could not recognize him. They could not adjust to the fact that there's a dreamer amongst them. Here comes the dreamer. And that's what led to all of the events that we read about in the Chumash. The greatness of Yosef is that he sees them all. The weakness of the brothers is that they don't see him. Now, it's very hard to be a minority. It's very hard to be a minority within a minority. It's very hard to be the only ones in the world that seemingly know what we're doing. Appreciate the problem. So the Ribono Shel Olam paints us into a corner. He minimizes our choices. When the Jewish people first came into the land of Israel, so Yoshua bin Nun sees a stranger whom he does not recognize. And he asks him only one question. He didn't ask him, what yeshiva did you go to? He didn't ask him, how did you vote in the last election? He asked him a simple question. Halonu ata im litzarenu. Are you with us or against us? If you're with us, then we can discuss all the differences. If you're against us, I have to know that. And that's the question that's posed to the Jewish world today. Halanu ata im litzarenu. Are you with us or not? And the events of October 7th posed the question in a very stark fashion. The Navi Yeshayahu finds himself in heaven and he hears a voice. And the voice says, Es mi yeshlach u'mi yelech lanu. Whom shall I send? Who goes for us? The same question. And that's the basic question that we all have to ask ourselves. And we have to ask it of others as well. And Chanukah poses that question. Are we Matisyo or are we the Misyavnim? There's no room in the middle. So we live in historic times, great events. We have to rise to the occasion. So the Ribono Shalom should bless us that we make right choices and ask the right questions and be zocheh to great and good things. Thank you.